Hello and welcome to the In the Pen podcast, a podcast about relievers, part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network. My name is Jake Crumpler, and as always, I'm joined by Pitcher List bullpen expert Rick Graham. Rick, how's it going?
It's going, plugging away after a too short Memorial Day weekend. It was good. It was nice to have the extra day off, but still, would love a longer week off, but what are you going to do?
Take a vacation, I guess.
I don't have any more vacation time. I've used it up all winter. I think that's what it is. So we have to wait till next year to take a trip again. But
that's right.
Yeah,
What, do you have anything planned, or is that just like nebulous? Like, hey, at some point next year, but we got to make it there first.
Yeah, sometime not during the baseball season, preferably. So maybe next winter.
It's so hard traveling when you have to bring a whole microphone with you, or even just like worrying about bringing your computer and like making sure it's charged so you can do stuff. It's always difficult.
For sure.
I think our next family trip is probably going to be, I think we're supposed to go to Palm Springs or something, but it's in August, so it's going to be like way too hot. I'm hoping I know we're supposed to go somewhere in California, which is where I live, so it's going to be like a road trip, but I'm hoping it's not too hot, or at least they got good AC. We've been to Palm Springs a few times, but that was when I was a child. So at this point it'll be pretty new for me. Have you ever even been to California?
Nope. Whoa, I haven't been west of Arizona. I mean,
okay. I can confirm Rick has been to Arizona.
That's the only, and before that, I hadn't been more west than like Nashville. I went to Texas once. I was in Texas once.
It's hard for me to like describe, because I've been to Florida, which is very east, but also so far away from what we'd consider the East Coast. I've been to Florida and Texas and Chicago, but that's like you can see the groove I'm creating that cuts out the whole Northeast of the United States. But it's definitely a place I'm gonna go at some point. We'll definitely make sure to swing by and visit you if I can. And all that kind of stuff. Got lots of friends on the East Coast that I've never had a chance to visit, but I would love to someday. But cool. Get a little small talk before we hop into talking about relief pitchers. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Of course, we will run through the news, injuries, and transactions from the past week. We got a lot there, spent a lot of time there. Then we'll move into our 3 up, 3 down section where we discuss the closers rising and falling on Rick's weekly closer ranks. And then we'll close things out with our main topic as we discuss the best fastballs amongst relief pitchers. So let's start it off with the news. And the first one we've got is big, and it came out yesterday as Giants manager Bob Melvin announced that CAMILO DOVALL will replace Ryan Walker as the Giants closer. This is something that we had hinted at the beginning of the season, and it's not very unheard of, because if you really think about it, this happened the other way last year. DOVALL opened the season as the Giants closer, struggled to the point where he was optioned to the minors in August, which as a result, Ryan Walker took over the closer role, had an incredible 2024 campaign, which propelled him into being the closer to open the season this year for the Giants. He's been terrible this year, and so now he's being removed from the closer role. DOVALL is back. He doesn't feel fully back to his former self, but he is back in the closer role.
Yeah, DOVALL he's looking better as far as the swing and miss goes lately. So this has me a little bit more excited for the move, but it is interesting. I feel like the timing of it, because Walker, they talked about how Walker had made a change, had made a mechanical tweak, and he started to pitch better for the last couple weeks or so. And then he had a little bit of a hiccup. Was it last weekend? And then just yesterday, kind of out of nowhere, he pitched the 8th, and
a scoreless perfect 8th.
Pitched scoreless 8th, which even still, because they were down, it was a one run game. The closer could be in that spot.
Sure.
And then they're like, DOVALL's taken over, and I guess like overall it makes sense considering how their seasons have gone, but I feel like the timing of it was a little weird, because Walker had been pitching better since he made that change.
Mm-hmm.
So DOVALL had started off really well this season, but there's like kind of a luck factor to it. But he is starting to get more of that swing and miss that we've known from him in the past. So I'm pretty excited. I'm excited for him. I I mean, it's kind of similar to. I think he's probably in a similar spot to where like Ryan Walker was in the beginning of the season. It's not someone who's going to be like a top 6 to 8 closer, but he can definitely work
Top
his way
12.
into the top 15.
Yeah.
As far as Walker goes, I was thinking like in holds leagues, I don't know. Randy Rodriguez has been so good. I feel like he needs to have a spot as one of the setup guys there. And same Tyler Rogers has been awesome as well. He's always
Yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't even know if Walker it's hard like putting him in the holds list today. I'm trying to figure out like what's his actual holds league value. That's always the hardest, moving like a demoted closer into the holds
Yeah.
list, because like I don't know. Like sometimes like Devin Williams ended up being really good in the 8th inning when he got demoted, but sometimes you don't get the 8th inning, or you still struggle in that role. So Walker is kind of a wait and see. I don't know. I mean, in standard 12 teamers, you probably can get away with dropping him depending on what you're like. If Daniel Palencia is still hanging out, you probably want to make that switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, someone asked about him in a dynasty league, like it's he's already 29, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's still I feel like he can still be. He's probably, and this is what we talked about with him in the beginning of the season, Ryan Walker. He's more of a, ideally he's like a really good setup guy. The way he's a slider heavy, not much of a fastball threat from him. So he's really more of a really good setup guy at his best. So
Mm-hmm.
in the long run, this could work out for him in the Giants. But yeah, I don't think you need to hold on to Ryan Walker in save leagues unless you're in deeper formats.
No, I think the biggest thing that supports that is the fact that like CAMILO DOVALL was the team's closer and is like the franchise closer. He was the team's closer in 2022 and 2023, and he was incredible doing that. So it's not like they're taking, some young prospect that's like going to be the closer of the future. This is a guy that already was. He's already filled that role.
Interim.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Or just like a potential like the next guy up. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but there's certainly teams like
Abner Uribe.
Sure, or like Ryan Kirkring or something, where it's just like, okay, we're gonna put him like this is his time, where they haven't really established himself. DOVALL did that, and that's why they're itching to get him in this role, which was something that they were trying to do at the end of last year. They sent him to the minors so that he could hopefully get his stuff together, get his control under control, and then bring him back up. But that confidence was not instilled in him, but it looks to be back now. And so I think they've been waiting for this moment to announce him as the closer again, because honestly, that is his rightful spot. And I think now that he's there, if he performs solidly, then I don't think he's losing this role until his contract's up with the Giants.
If he does struggle, I really hope that they'll probably go back to Ryan Walker, but I really want to see. I feel like Randy Rodriguez is just like a prototypical closer written all over him.
He's been so good.
Fastball, slider, both elite pitches. I mean, he feels like the next guy. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how DOVALL goes. I have no reason to think he's gonna struggle. So yeah, if he's still available, it's time to pick him up.
All right. Well, that's our first bit of news. Next, we've got Kumar Rocker, where I've seen reports that suggest he is being considered as the Rangers closer. We haven't seen any usage that suggests that, but with the struggles of Luke Jackson and his subsequent removal from the closer role, I mean, not officially, but pretty official. It's open for Kumar Rocker, but he is still on the IL, so he will need to return from the injured list before he can take over that role. But that is interesting right now because we're sort of in this state right now where we don't know where the Rangers are going. I mean, we're going to talk about Robert Garcia a little more later, but right now it's like, it's possible that, Kumar Rocker comes back. Bruce Bochy's like, we want a righty in the role, and he's taking direction from Chris Young or whatever and throws him in there. But I'm not going to act on that in fantasy.
What happened to John Gray in all of this? I know, I mean, he's dealing with a fractured wrist, but he should be back in June.
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about him?
I'd rather have him than Kumar.
I mean, I get the idea of Kumar Rocker being a closer, big guy, throws hard, good breaker. But like I don't know, just he's gonna be a starter just to keep developing as a starter.
Yeah.
And if those guys are coming back, Gray and Rocker are coming back at the same time, I'd rather take my chance. Like, what's John Gray's ceiling as a starter? I think we've seen that. I think we know what he is as a starter. So I'm surprised there's not more talk about John Gray moving into the bullpen when he returns, because what do they have? I mean, like, Tyler Mahle, as long as he's healthy, is staying in the rotation. Obviously, DeGrom's there. Eovaldi, who's now dealing with an injury, but I think he'll be fine for his next start. And then Leiter and Corbin probably are. I mean, Corbin's doing fine. I just feel like there's no reason for John Gray to be pushed into a starter role.
Yeah.
But yeah, either one of those two guys is an upgrade over Luke Jackson, and so it's worth keeping an eye on. Robert Garcia's gotten the last 2 saves, and he's been a little shaky this month. I'm not sure what my overall trust factor is in Robert Garcia at this point. It's better. I'd rather take a chance on him than Luke Jackson. But yeah, I do think that they're going to want to get a righty that can factor in here. That's more solidified than Luke Jackson or Sean Armstrong or Jacob Webb, or their righties have been really struggling this year.
Agreed. All right. Keep an eye out on Kumar Rocker and John Gray as potential closers for the Rangers in the future once they return from injury. Speaking of injuries, Yimi Garcia was placed on the 15-day IL with a shoulder impingement. He received a cortisone shot on Monday and will not throw this week. I think they said a few days, so it's possible he throws this weekend, but this week Garcia is not throwing. Paxton Schultz was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, but it looks like the Blue Jays bullpen is going to have to shake things up a little bit to figure out how to replace Garcia. Has been very reliable for them over the past couple of years. It's interesting. I mean, Brendan Little has been sort of the talk of the Blue Jays bullpen, but it's interesting to see Yariel Rodriguez finding some success there, because he was somebody when he first came over, because it was right after the WBC. So we had very, very good idea of what international talent was like, which usually we don't see that a lot because people aren't watching, games from Cuba or games from Japan or whatever, but WBC changes that. And he was really good in the WBC. And then that prompts you to go look at his baseball reference and be like, oh my God, he was incredible in Cuba. So I was pumped for him to come over, and he hasn't done anything, but now 0.96 ERA, 25% strikeout rate and 6 holds.
Yeah. And when he signed, I think we were talking about, I don't remember his usage in the WBC. He probably didn't go long into games, deep into games, but I remember we were talking about him as a reliever at that point, because that was kind of where the consensus was like on him, is that he was probably going to end up as
rotation was crazy because it had like Manoah and stuff.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah, and they kind of they toyed with him for a little while, and he was back and forth between long release, rotation. But yeah, seeing him have a lot of success in these shorter stints is definitely, and it makes sense that his stuff's playing up in 1 to 2 inning outings. But the Blue Jays in general are just having a really good year finding or maybe just developing some of these guys. I mean, between Little coming from out of nowhere, Mason Flaherty having a really good season from the left side, and like it's very short, small sample sizes, but like Braden Fisher and Paxton Schultz, who we just talked about, huge strikeout numbers for those guys. So it's very different. I don't know what's changed as far as their player development or whatever, but they got a bit of a pitching lab right now with their bullpen. So fun to see another team being able to develop, and another team in the AL East too, because usually we think about Tampa Bay being the team, finding all these relievers and generating all this good bullpen talent. But Toronto has been really good this year as far as finding diamonds in the rough in their bullpen.
Pretty incredible. They weren't really a team that I had clocked as a
Braden Fisher strikeout numbers. Yeah,
I know, it's crazy, and that's also exciting because you got some young guys coming up too. So it's not just our major league development staff is really incredible and we're really good at like picking guys up off the waiver wire. No, it's like these guys weren't even on the opening day roster. They're coming up from the minor leagues. They're random dudes coming over from the Cubs.
Developing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so that's really cool to see that, and honestly, that I'll have a different perspective when I see new names in Toronto moving forward. It's like sort of what Seattle has done, where you have an idea of like, this team is good at doing this. So if I see a name that I've liked but hasn't found success in the past, maybe they'll find some success in Seattle. And we'll actually have somebody to talk about to support that notion a little bit later. But let's move into our transactions, discuss a couple of Brewers southpaws that were activated from the IL. First, Aaron Ashby was activated from the 15-day IL. He had been out with an oblique strain. Carlos Rodriguez was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move, but Ashby is expected to pitch out of the bullpen. I've been a huge Aaron Ashby guy ever since he was a starter. One of my best tweets was just one game Aaron Ashby did really well, and I tweeted about it. And it did really well. Yeah, I love that one. I think every time I reference Aaron Ashby in an article, I'm like, oh, time to reuse the tweet. Time to reuse the tweet, because it's got like it's got pitching ninja gifs on it too, and it was like just incredible outing from him. I am excited to see what he can do. I don't think he's going to be super fantasy relevant in standard leagues, especially if you're looking for saves. He could get some holds. He could get some wins. He's probably going to throw some multi-inning outings. I like Ashby in points leagues. I love his stuff, but definitely want to see what we're cooking with this year and what kind of role the Brewers are going to use him in.
Yeah, that's the thing with him and, DL Hall. It's, I don't know what because they're obviously they've had needs in the rotation this year. I think it's settled down. Obviously, like they've gotten better than expected performance from Patrick, and Priester's looking a little bit better, so their need in the rotation settled a little bit. But I still feel like at least one of these guys has to end up. One of these guys needs to be in the rotation at some point, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I don't know which one, or maybe it does make sense to keep one of them in the bullpen, because I know they have Jared Koenig, who they love, and I'm not a big fan of. So I think Hall probably has more of a reliever skill set. I feel like Ashby still can be a really good starting pitcher, and Hall can be too, but I feel like Hall probably makes sense.
Last year was not good, because we were so excited about Hall being a starter. And it didn't go. His stuff got much worse. I'd rather him stay in the bullpen, because that last year he was on the Orioles. It was like, okay, this is the next like Josh Hader, and then they're like, oh, it'd be cool if he started and was bad again.
Yeah, I think he's probably pretty much set. Maybe he has a Chris Bubich arc where a couple years in the bullpen where he turns things around, then he gets a chance to get back in the rotation.
Excited.
But Ashby, I think Ashby probably deserves a chance in the rotation. He's got a legit starting pitcher's pitch mix. But we'll see. For now, these two guys too. I don't really know what to do with them in holds leagues, because they've shown in the past they're really they can be really good relievers. But again, it's been a while since they've been like solidified, relief options for the Brewers. So it's kind of taking a wait and see approach with them for now, but definitely names to keep an eye on, because there is upside for both Ashby and Hall.
Yes, Hall was activated from the 60-day IL earlier this week. He had been out for the whole season with a left lat strain, so he'll return, pitch out of the bullpen in his return, but right now, uncertain if Hall or Ashby or both are going to remain in the bullpen. Logan Henderson was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Ridiculous. I mean, that guy was killing it. I think he was ridiculous.
Yeah, like their rotation had found pieces. I forgot to mention Henderson, who was like having kind of breaking out there. So now, I guess Aaron Savali is going to get as many chances as he can. Chad Patrick's been too good to kind of take out of the rotation. So yeah, we'll see. They do have a fifth starter opening, but I think Quintana is coming off the IL. So
yeah, Quintana. Woodruff, I know, is delayed right now.
Woodruff too. So yeah, they're all of a sudden gonna have too many starters. So maybe Hall and Ashby stay in the bullpen for the rest of the season. Depends on health, obviously, but yeah.
All right. Well, that's the Brewers bullpen. Next, we'll move and stay in the NL Central and discuss the Cubs, where Ryan Brazier was activated from the 15-day IL. He had been out with a groin strain. Ethan Roberts was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And just to group this in as we talk about the Cubs, Julian Merriweather was designated for assignment by Chicago. Brooks Kriske was selected from the minors in a corresponding move, and then they were like, nah, you get DFA'd. So he got DFA'd, and now Genesis Cabrera is on the Cubs.
Why is Genesis Cabrera just keeps, teams must see something in him.
Lefty who throws hard. I don't know.
Yeah, lefty who throws hard, I guess. It is rare. Because he just keeps latching on to a lot of teams now.
He's had moments, man. He's had moments where he looks so good, and then moments where it's like, how are you even in Major League Baseball?
Yeah. And I guess they felt like they needed a third lefty, despite Tealbar and Pomeranz being really good right now.
Crazy.
I know I mean, Merriweather is like a tough one for me because he has not looked good. He's not the same guy he was, a couple years ago. But there's still a lot of potential upside there if he can figure things. Maybe Toronto. He goes back to Toronto, who's now got a pitching lab.
Yeah,
goes back there, gets right. I don't know. I'll always root for Julian Merriweather because of that 1 week we got from him where everyone spent all of their fab on him.
That's like so. It's like you have like moments in your life of like consciousness where you start like your first memories. You're like 5. It's like you're entering consciousness. You enter like another stage when you're in middle school, and then an even further one when you're in your 20s in college. I have those, but for like fantasy baseball, where it was like I finally understood what fab was. The first year I was doing TGFBI, and it was like Julian Merriweather, $200, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, is this normal? And now it'll stick with me forever. But it was really like, it's one of those moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm awake, I'm here, I'm living life.
That was just a while because I remember like my friend like told asked me about him and. This is before he pitched that game against the Yankees where he like struck out like Judge, Stanton, and someone else in a row and like just nasty, like 10 nasty pitches. I'm like, who is this guy? And then he becomes the closer over the weekend. And it's like all of a sudden he's just going from like nothing to like skyrocketing to the top. And then a week later he's nothing. So that's how relievers go, man. It's a roller coaster ride.
It really is.
That's how it is. That's what should somehow work that into our name, like the roller coaster pod. I don't know, roller coaster relief pod.
That'll work. That'll work. We can do a roller coaster segment at some point if we can figure something out. I don't know. This Ryan Brazier talk has been roller coaster. You didn't say anything about him.
It's Ryan Brazier. I mean. He's probably better than Merriweather at this point, like right now. And the Cubs are in a win now mode.
And they gave him a hold last night.
Yeah. I mean, he could easily. Brad Keller's been pitching really good. So, who's that next right-handed setup guy? Is it Brazier or Ryan Presley?
It's Pikachu.
It's okay. We're good. It's. Or he's left-handed, but as I say, Drew Pomeranz is in there too. I don't know. Brazier's not someone in holds leagues right now, but
the names in this bullpen are so funny.
That is, like, there's nothing conventional.
No. I mean, just seeing like, oh yeah, Brad Keller, our #1 setup man.
Yeah.
And we've got 38-year-old Ryan Presley, Caleb Thielbar, Ryan Brazier, Drew Pomeranz, Chris Flexen. It's just like all the old dudes that we thought were cooked. And it's like, no. We're on the Cubs and we're doing well. Well, not anymore.
Drew Pomeranz hasn't pitched in 8 years. That middle of between Pomeranz and Tealbar, all 37 or older.
Yeah, that's so
5
funny.
guys.
It's so weird.
Hey, okay. We'll see how long that lasts. But
it's not going too well right now. And it's funny too, because it's like the young guys are the ones who are injured. Like Porter Hodge, it's like, our rookie, like closer of the future. Yeah, he's injured.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Justin Martinez, who was officially activated from the 15-day IL. He had missed a couple of weeks with shoulder inflammation. Prior to that, he had very concerning drops in velocity that saw him fall under 94 miles per hour after being somebody who averages over 100 miles per hour with his fastball. Christian Montes de Oca was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move, but it looks like Justin Martinez will be the Diamondbacks closer moving forward. I did research when he got called up because I was like, I really hope they're not doing something crazy and calling him up before his velocity is returned. I checked, it's returned. He was throwing 100 in the minors, touching 102. He's been fine since coming up. He blew a save in his first opportunity, but then came back a couple days later to lock down a hold in a close game. So I think Justin Martinez will be fine, but definitely got to keep an eye on that velocity throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, velocity checks periodically, but also I don't know if Shelby Miller is not the closer still, or maybe they're I don't know. Torey Lavulo does weird things because Martinez pitched the 8th in that when he came back. He pitched the 8th inning on Monday. He pitched the 8th inning. I can't tell you though because Shelby Miller hasn't pitched. Shelby Miller pitched the 9th yesterday, but it was like a 10-run game. but that was just because Shelby Miller hadn't pitched for 8 days. So we're not really seeing any opportunities in Arizona at the moment. But just based on Martinez getting 8th inning work, I don't know. The Torey Lovullo is kind of hard to he's hard to predict who he likes to, you know, who he wants to be closing out games. I mean, we never really got an answer when it was between Puck and Martinez. It was just like, all right, Martinez today, Puck the next day, and maybe they do the same with Miller and Martinez. Maybe he just wants to play matchups. So I still prefer Martinez over Miller, but this could still end up being a very frustrating committee because, if you told me AJ Puck was out on the 60-day IL, I would be like, yeah, Justin Martinez is going to close, get every save chance there. But here we are with Shelby Miller still, and Miller's pitched well, so it's tough to kind of kick him out of the role. But
yeah,
I mean, Martinez is your future there, so
I don't know. The way that I read it was that like he came back and immediately blew up, and then I felt like they wanted to get him back out there to get his confidence back up. And I think the game that they put him in, they were up, I think by a few runs, and there was runners on base, and they brought him on to get out of the jam or something. So it wasn't even like a close game. Yeah. They just sort of wanted to get him in there, get him some work so that it get some confidence back. That's how I read it. You have a lot more experience. I have more experience with the Diamondbacks specifically. You have more experience, reading into closer roles. Either way, it's impossible to read usually.
It is. Lovullo is a tough read, especially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it could go either way, but I mean, totally valid suggesting that Shelby Miller could possibly still eat into Martinez's save opportunities. Next, we'll continue to move through our transactions, but first we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. Now we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relievers. We are continuing to move through our transactions. I did warn you there's a lot today, but it's worth it. I think these are honestly the most important things when it comes to fantasy is like, all right, who's actually on the team?
Who's available?
All right. That's right. And you know who is available now, who hasn't been for a while, is Robert Stevenson. Finally. He was activated from the 60-day IL after missing all of last season and the first 2 months of this season with elbow surgery. Jake Eater was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. But boy, are we pumped to see Robert Stevenson back. I mean, it's been a while since we've gotten to sing his praises, but unfortunately, he enters a situation in LA where the closer role is sort of accounted for already. But hey, I'd love for Robert Stevenson get his stuff back together, really start dominating, and then next year he can be the Angels closer.
Did you happen to see his first outing? His last night he pitched.
How did it go?
No base runners, 2 Ks, 6 whiffs on 10 cutters.
Yo!
And his fastball was sitting at 90. He threw only 2 fastballs, but they're at 98.
He's back, baby. He didn't miss a step.
He looks like he just came back. I mean, it scares me again though, because I'm like, why are you already throwing 98? Like you just
slow down. Angels aren't going anywhere, buddy.
Like let's save it for but like he just had. I mean, it's 14 months removed from Tommy John, 13 months. So I mean, it's relatively quick, but I mean that's how it is these days. It's more of a 12-month injury. But yeah, he looks like he just picked up where he left off with the Rays. Just super exciting because I wasn't expecting that. Now the next thing is to see, can he sustain the stuff and the velo, and then the command. Is the command going to be consistent? Because it's obviously been, he hasn't pitched in 12 months, 13 months, whatever. But yeah, very excited about that first outing. Electric, and he looked good in his minor league rehab starts too. He was, or stints, he was 96, 97 with his fastball, which is what he was in Tampa. So yeah, Stevenson from a holds perspective, I'm trying. I had him at like 38, and then I saw his outing last night and I bumped him up to like 15 because I'm just a little excited. But I mean, when that last year in Tampa Bay, when he had the same stuff in Tampa Bay, I mean, he was electric. It was he was the top holds guy with Griffin Jacks. Those two were like neck and neck. So if this is for real, you have to pick up Robert Stevenson in holds leagues, and I think it's worth the speculative ad for now and see how it goes. The problem is it's the Angels. How many chances? I mean, they've had Ryan Zefferjon kind of being their top setup guy, but he hasn't had, I don't know how, he doesn't have a ton of holds on the year. I mean, the Angels have been struggling. At least they get Mike Trout back this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe that helps give them a couple more wins, but yeah. And we talk about Stevenson as a potential closer. If they do move Kenley Jansen at the deadline, if that happens, if he agrees to a trade or they agree to a trade, yeah, Stevenson probably is the closer for August and September, and that could be really fun too. So I know Zefferjon probably deserves a shot there as well, but maybe they prefer Stevenson because he's the guy they're paying right now. So
yeah,
we'll see.
All right. That's awesome. Robert Stevenson back and looking like he did before the surgery, when he was honestly one of the best relievers in baseball in that second half. All right. Next, we've got a pretty big move. The notifications I got on my phone suggested it was pretty big, and then I read it and I was like, oh, well, okay.
It's a trade,
exactly.
And the Dodgers are involved. So.
Well, it was like Jeff Passan, Dodgers, closer. I was like, trade. And I was like, closer. That's Alexis Diaz. He is not the closer. He was traded by the Reds to the Dodgers in exchange for minor league relief pitcher Mike Villani. Luis May was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Somewhat unfortunate there. But I don't even know why they did that, why they had to make a move when they were losing somebody.
It's a... I don't know. I think they just said that they optioned May. I don't know if they even mentioned what the move was. Yeah, I don't see what the corresponding move was.
Yeah, so. That's weird. But anyway, Alexis Diaz no longer with the Reds and now heading to LA, and he doesn't have to be on the major league roster. I'm pretty sure he's in the minor leagues for the Reds, or was.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be joining that Dodgers team right away. And I mean, do you have any hope that the Dodgers can figure stuff out with Alexis Diaz? I mean, we have not been fans of Alexis Diaz. If you've ever listened to this podcast, I mean, you could tune into any episode, and if Alexis Diaz comes up, it's generally not really positive. But now he's going to the Dodgers, the team we love to root for. So I'm going to be rooting for Alexis Diaz even more. I would love for Alexis Diaz to be on this team and just doing what Alexis Diaz does.
Yeah, but this is also a Dodgers team that's getting production out of like Luis Garcia and Lou Trevino right now. Gosh, so
Chris Stratton
and Ryan Brazier had like a 1.0 ERA with them at one point last year.
We don't talk about that.
So I mean, if Alexis Diaz is gonna have success anywhere, it's probably in LA. And like you said, he's probably going to start off in AAA. Maybe they call him up right away, but he's really not been good in AAA. His command is not good right now. He's locking a lot of hitters. But you have 3 option years with them. I mean, he's kind of the perfect guy for the Dodgers, because when the Dodgers bullpen is at full strength, they don't have a lot of guys with options. So if like you need to bring up a guy for a day, or Diaz can give them some flexibility as far as someone who can go up and down AAA and the big league clubs. So, but that's all I kind of expect. I don't think we see a resurgence or a renaissance, and he becomes like a closing option for them. I'm sure people saw like that tweet and like, oh, closer Alexis Diaz, and they saw, oh, Tanner Scott's been struggling recently, this must be the answer. But that's just not what it's going to be. This is not a Tanner Scott replacement. This is just depth. Funny. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes I laugh at baseball stuff, and I'm just like, nobody would understand why this is funny. I could explain for 15 minutes and be like, no. Like, he was really bad, but he used to be really good, and he was good, and so it's sort of funny now. I don't think they would ever think it's funny, but it is crazy. I can't believe Alexis Diaz going to the Dodgers. Sure, I'm rooting for him to figure things out there. Of course, I want everybody to be dope, even if they're on the Dodgers. I'll say that. But yeah, I don't have a lot of faith, and I wouldn't expect like this year that Alexis Diaz comes to the Dodgers and is somehow like their postseason weapon.
Good. We're gonna be talking in October about him getting big outs. I wouldn't be surprised if they turn him in. I mean, but on the Reds side, it is weird that the Reds kind of gave up on him so quickly. With, again, he's got 3 options. I mean, he can. I know he's going to cost a little bit more in arbitration because of the save totals. But I don't know. It seems just like a really just like a penny pinching move kind of from the Reds that like is just kind of, I don't know. You could still work with him a little bit. You have time to try to make him, better, get him back to where he used to be. But I guess the Reds were done with him, so now the Dodgers can mold him into a postseason weapon.
Yay! Everybody's favorite birthday present, another Dodgers relief pitcher. That's good. Okay, well, next we'll discuss Andrew Walters, who was recalled from the minors by the Guardians. Nick Enright was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move, and you might be saying as a listener, who is Andrew Walters? Well, he's young, 24. This is his second MLB season, and he briefly debuted last year, 8 2/3 innings, but he was pretty interesting, 0 ERA. However, he didn't really carry over the strikeout and walk numbers that he displayed in the minors that really got everybody excited in 2024 between AA and AAA. In Walters' first taste of the big leagues, he pitched to a 2.32 ERA with a 37% strikeout rate. That's pretty dope. And then this year, he's carried that over into AAA as a 24-year-old, 1.50 ERA and 46% strikeout rate.
Right.
Not a good control arm. He's somebody who's always had double-digit walk rates throughout his career, but the strikeout rate suggests that his stuff is incredible. A lot of competition there in Cleveland, but Walters is dope. Yeah,
I mean, it's like it's definitely not a fair like 1-to-1 comparison, but just thinking about Cleveland, it's kind of James Karinchak-y, where huge strikeout numbers in the minors. But yeah, the command is definitely a question mark. But he looked good in his first outing. His velo is up a little bit from where it was last year. He's, as far as, relief pitching prospects aren't really a thing, but like he's one of the better ones. So it's going to be tough for him to kind of work into hold situations with Gaddis and Cade Smith in front of him, but definitely a name to keep an eye on, especially in the dynasty leagues. He could be a fun guy to roster if you're in a rebuild now mode. But yeah, his stuff, big strikeout stuff from him. So yeah, I'm excited to see him. Hopefully he gets to stick this time and get some run with the big club.
Yeah. All right. Next, we've got Jackson Kowar, who was activated from the 60-day IL. He had been out for a while after undergoing elbow surgery. Logan Evans was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. That's somewhat confusing along the lines of Logan Henderson won, because Evans was coming off 8 shutout innings.
I think it's because isn't Gilbert coming back soon?
I think Bryce Miller's coming back this weekend. Yeah.
So.
Makes sense. But yeah, Evans was coming off 8 shutout innings, and it's like, hey, congrats. All right, have fun in AAA, buddy. Yeah, that sucks. Hey, he'll get a ring if the Mariners win, and he never pitches in the majors again. That's fine. But we're here to talk about Jackson Kowar, who was a former first-round pick, 33rd overall back in 2018 by the Royals. Or by the Braves, and was traded to the Royals. And I have no clue. I'm not going to look it up what trade that was. But nonetheless, Kowar was a top prospect that never really panned out.
It was an interesting trade.
I
would say it was something. It was an interesting trade.
Oh, wait,
I'll look it up.
It's on Fangraphs. Yeah. Well, I don't know why I'm so confused. It's right there. For Kyle Wright.
That's right. Kyle Wright won. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. Jackson Kowar, though, he got to Seattle somehow via trade. That's looks like Cole Phillips and Jared Kelnick and Evan White. Somehow Kowar ended up with Seattle. Yeah, brutal trade. I guess all around.
Everybody ended up.
Yeah, everybody lost. But Kowar is somebody who has dealt with a lot of injuries, but his transition to Seattle and inevitably the bullpen has actually made him somewhat of an intriguing pitcher.
Yeah, Seattle's bullpen's really deep, so it might be hard for him to break into some sort of holds mix. But from out of the bullpen, like he's only had 1 outing so far, but he's gonna sit 98, and his slider's pretty good. His slider's still gonna get swings and misses. So it's another interesting arm in that Seattle bullpen where that's like we talked about Seattle. They've been able to develop, turn Colin Snyder into a legit bullpen weapon for them. But then you got Gabe Spear, you have Matt Brash, who are pretty good, really good. And just adding Cowher to this mix, there's a lot of upside, a lot of what ifs, a lot of downside here, but I'm intrigued by Cowher. I think I have him like at 101 I don't have him on the top 100, but I'm very interested to follow him because he's throwing upper 90s with a good slider. Was a pretty big starting pitching prospect at one point. So a name to keep an eye on in deeper leagues.
All right, that's Jackson Kowar of the Seattle Mariners. Next, we'll discuss Kevin Ginkel, who was optioned to the minors. Jeff Brigham was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. Ginkel really struggling for the Diamondbacks since returning. I think he opened the year on the IL. I'm going to make a guess. I'm assuming it was a shoulder injury. Seems like a guy that would be having a shoulder injury. Nice. Yeah, not off to a great start in a small sample. 10 innings, 12.60 ERA. Not great there. Comes with a 2.10 whip, and he's just walking way too many guys. And last year, Ginkel was somebody who produced a 5% walk rate. That's now up at 13.5%. So clearly something still bugging Ginkel. I assume it's related to that shoulder because you don't see that drastic of a decrease in control without some issue, whether mechanically or injury wise, and usually injuries will adjust a pitcher's mechanics. So I think that's a problem with Ginkel. Hopefully he can go figure that out in the minors, but opens the door more for Shelby Miller to continue to get opportunities and for Jalen Beeks and maybe Kendall Graveman to finally start factoring into high leverage.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because this Arizona bullpen's really fighting, trying to find guys to provide, depth to get the ball to the ninth inning, whether it's Shelby Miller or Justin Martinez, but just getting the ball to the ninth inning has been a struggle. But yeah, Ginkel's just he can't locate anything. He has a 36% zone rate right now. That's bottom 2 percentile for relief pitchers. So yeah, we talked about it when he came back and he struggled. I think we talked about how it's like he just feels like he was rushed back and they kind of panicked when both Martinez and Puck hit the IL.
Hey, I would too.
Yeah, they're like, we got to get Ginkel back. Because he just went on this quick little rehab stint and was right away like put back in the lineup.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just get him in AAA for a little bit to get his command back. I'm not totally counting him out for a second half, surge or anything because the stuff's still there. The command's just not close to where it needs to be. So, yeah, I mean, Ryan Thompson's a guy that Torey Lovullo loves and I guess is fine, but they're really missing, AJ Puck and a healthy Kevin Ginkel as well. So, but this should be, better, I guess. Good news for Shelby Miller and Justin Martinez is that's your 8th and 9th inning combo right now, and there is no competition really for either of them. Jalen Beeks has struggled lately too.
Yeah, very interesting bullpen there in Arizona. It feels like we've been talking about it all year long. It's just been so important in fantasy, but it continues to still be undetermined, which is crazy at this point, but makes sense considering everything that's happened. But now we can move into our final transaction, as this is probably a record of closing off 45 minutes of transactions. But we got Michelle
May,
May 29th. All right, everybody knows big transaction day. Michel Otañez was optioned to the minors by the A's. Somewhat confusing. He was one of their best relievers last year. However, was dealing with an injury, came back. His control was all over the place, and he was already not a guy who was good at controlling his pitches. We saw 5 walks in 5 1/3 innings for Otañez. So he'll head back to the minors to figure things out. It was also a corresponding move to Sean Newcomb being acquired from the Red Sox via trade. Newcomb is expected to pitch out of the bullpen for the A's, and it does give them a secondary left-handed option to back up Hogan Harris. But I don't expect Newcomb to be a holds option. He's probably somebody that's more likely to factor into the rotation than he is to factor into high leverage situations. But with Otañez out, it looks like Grant Holman continues to climb up the holds ladder in Oakland. Sacramento.
Good save.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if you think Kevin Ginkel's command was bad, Otoñez had an 11.6% zone rate on his slider, which is his number one. That's his top offer. He threw. Does he
know you get a strike if it goes over the plate?
He threw 36% of the time, and he's throwing it for 11.6% zone rate, which is a 0 percentile. That's just like unheard of. So yeah, once he gets that slider command a little bit adjusted, and you can see the strike zone plot's pretty funny. It's just obviously he's missing glove side, but it's by there's some close pitches, but a lot of them are just really bad misses.
So just move the plate like 2 feet to the left.
Just start it. Yeah, I mean, just make an adjustment. Start.
Let's take bikini bottom and move it
Pretend like you're throwing that slider on the inner half, and then you're going to be locating it on the outer half.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, but he'll make some adjustments. I like Otoñez a lot, and he should be back. Yeah, this bullpen. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about Mason Miller's struggles too, but I mean, everyone's kind of struggling. It's maybe the Sacramento thing and that ballpark being a bandbox, but it's kind of Tampa Bay's relievers are struggling. Almost said Oakland, Sacramento's relievers are struggling. The A's relievers are struggling, and it very well could be ballpark related, largely. So
I was there. Hey, the fans are really close. Maybe it's heckling.
Could be that too. I mean, the players don't deserve the hate. It's the guy.
Oh no,
the guy in the owner's box maybe. But,
yeah.
Get to heckling him. But yeah, I think Otoñez will be back in a setup role at some point because the other options. I mean, Justin Sterner flamed out. Ferguson's been really really bad too, and Jose Leclerc's still hurt and wasn't pitching well. So, Otoñez will be an important part of that bullpen if they are to make some sort of run over the summer.
Totally. Yeah. Well, it looks like they're trying for it because they've been making a ton of roster moves, just trying to figure out anything to make it work. They are. It's cool to see, but also like slap in the face. Why didn't you do that when you were here? We could have had a good team, and you were like, no. Oh well, that's our news, injuries, and transactions from the past week. Next, we'll discuss the 3 up, 3 down section, but first, we're going to take another break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relief pitchers. We're heading into our 3 up, 3 down section where we discuss the closers rising and falling on Rick's closer ranks. Make sure to check those out over on pitcherlist.com every Tuesday.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So let's start it off with our risers. The first one being Daniel Palencia. I think we were sort of on this one, like maybe a day too late, but when Ryan Presley got removed from the role and Porter Hodge went on the IL, it was only a matter of time before Palencia took over. I was very upset the first time because he finally got the opportunity and just blew the first save he got. And I was like, dang, they're really just going to be like, well, we tried. Well, this is what happened. So Ryan Presley's back in the role, but Palencia, 3 saves this week, up to 4 on the season, and he's looking very solid with a 1.83 ERA and a 28% strikeout rate on the year.
Yeah, and we talked about that first save. He was 1 strike away and just made 1 bad pitch, and it kind of unraveled. And that happens to closers. And he's been awesome since then. He's definitely okay. So he's got a really good fastball. Love the fastball from him. Obviously, the velo's good. He's got good shape on it. There's good metrics from it. I do worry about the lack of a secondary. The slider might be fine. I don't know. He doesn't throw it a lot. He doesn't really seem to trust it. But what he has been doing, I think this is what's been the difference between him this year and in the past, is he's been able to at least locate that slider for strikes, especially early in counts. Kind of and that might be his ticket where he kind of pitches backwards, gets that slider over, starts 0-1, and then he can use his fastball to get hitters out. So, and that's fine. You don't have to be that like classic closer who has the big breaker that gets swings and misses. As long as he's got a second offering that's either getting called strikes or swings and misses, and this one's getting called strikes. So I think this is legit from Palencia. I think this is finally the breakout we've waited for with him. He's always been a stuff plus darling, and now he's commanding his slider a little bit, and that's kind of all he needs is just to show that slider for a strike and then use the fastball to dominate hitters, especially in 1 inning stints. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, the slider's not really what you'd expect a slider to be. Usually pitchers are using that pitch to get batters to chase, get the whiffs, get your outs. But yeah, it makes sense. He's throwing that for 69% strikes this year. Last year was sub 65 or was at 65%. So clearly getting that pitch into the zone a little bit more, and then it's earning strikes. But yeah, he is clearly a fastball pitcher. He's throwing 75% four seamers, and he averages 99 miles per hour on the pitch with some pretty solid stuff too.
Yeah,
a lot of sinker movement, which I think is a little bit of pitch classification thing, but It's a legit pitch. So it's really just like, here's the slider to set up the fastball, keep you from guessing fastball, because that's the only way you're going to hit a 99-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah. So it's similar. It's him and Porter Hodge. I feel like once Hodge gets healthy, I feel like it's a good complement to each other, because Hodge is very much slider. He should be a slider heavy guy.
Yeah.
Because his fastball is not great. So once he's healthy, I still think Palencia should stick in the closer role, even when Hodge returns, unless Palencia struggles, heavily here. But I feel like Palencia's deserved or earned the role at this point. And he's got the stuff. He's got closer stuff with that big fastball and a little bit of a wrinkle slider. So, but yeah, him and Hodge could be a fun eighth and ninth inning team when they're both healthy here.
You think when Hodge comes back, they just keep Palencia there because he's doing well, or do you think it's going to be like ignite a sort of competition?
Because I mean, Hodge obviously closed out games last year, so he's got some experience, but he hasn't been good this year. In a bucket, he has not been good this year. So I feel like I don't feel like there's any need, like there's no loyalty, there's no need really for him to be put back into the job or to get if he earns it, if he pitches well and Palencia starts to struggle, sure. But I feel like if Palencia is still pitching well when Hodge returns, it should still be his job. And like kind of similar to like Ryan Walker, where I like, and we're talking about fastballs today, and I really, for a closer, I would like you to have a good fastball. So guys like Ryan Walker who don't, or Porter Hodge who don't, it's a little bit harder to kind of trust them in the ninth inning for me. I want someone, but that might be a little bit of an old school thinking. I don't know. Maybe it's new school. I don't know. But I think Palencia makes more sense as the closer, with Hodge being the setup option who can come in and, just throw that slider a lot.
All right. Well, that's Palencia, our first riser. Our next riser is Robert Garcia, who seems to be taking advantage of Luke Jackson struggling. Jackson seems to have been removed from the closer role since he got, I think he was hit by a pitch or something, and then he got removed from the game. Or was that Chris Martin? I think it was Luke Jackson. Yeah, so he got removed from a game.
Like 115-mile-per-hour liner or something. Yeah.
Oof. That'll do it. Yeah. He was bad before that. It wasn't, the pitch didn't do it, but it made Bruce Bochy think for a second. It's something he hasn't been doing much this season. And that sort of switched things around. And he was like, hey, whoa, wait, who is that guy that's closing for us? Oh, he's bad. 4.67 ERA, 18% strikeout rate. All right, let's try somebody else. So Robert Garcia, one of the big acquisitions by the Rangers over the offseason. Southpaw will enter into the closer role, 2.25 ERA, 25% strikeout rate on the year, but got 2 saves this week. It's looking up. Yeah. He's not got the same excitement that we had for him last year, but now that he's got a closer role, a closer job, that definitely makes up for his stuff sort of diminishing a little.
Yeah, he's a lot better than Luke Jackson, at least. So it gives me someone I'm confident in saying. Someone I'm confident in rostering in Texas for the moment. That said, I don't think. I mean, now, because there's a lot of good relievers, a lot of good closers right now. I don't know if he's even a top 20 option at this point, Garcia, but yeah, I mean, if you're deeper leagues and in roto leagues, you're going to want Robert Garcia rostered. But yeah, we talked about John Gray and Kumar Rocker at the top of the show too. And I wonder, does Garcia keep the role when those two guys return and they kind of have to move some starter into the bullpen? Things can get dicey there, but for now, Garcia is better than, whoever you want in with the White Sox or Colorado or a couple other teams. I'm sure he's a better option then. So you can get some cheap saves here if you act fast, but he's probably starting to get picked up in most leagues.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been holding on to him in 15 teamers. I never dropped him, so yeah, he's gonna be hard to get. All right, let's close out the riser section with a victory lap as Ronny Henriquez got his first save of his career. And man, I called that months ago. And the reason I'm taking the victory lap is because the support that I had for suggesting Henriquez was a dark horse candidate for the Marlins closer was nothing. It was, I played with him on MLB The Show last year, and his stuff is not like how it is in real life, but it was fun to play with him. And I think because of that, possibly he may get a save. And look at that. Just follow your intuition, guys. Trust your instincts, because look at, we got Ronnie Henriquez a save, and then he turned around and pitched the 7th and 8th and gave up a go-ahead 2-run home run to ruin everything and get Calvin Fauché a save. So
yeah, so a couple. I mean, essentially with this Marlins bullpen, we could just put some names on a dartboard and throw some darts, and hey, this guy's gonna close the next game.
That's
kind of how they. I feel like that's what they're. I feel like that's what the Marlins are doing, because one day it's Tinoco, and then he pitches the 5th inning, and then Fauché. It's just all over the map, no rhyme or reason. But Henriquez by far is my favorite reliever here, and the only guy I think I would even consider rostering at this point. I mean, Fauché has been looking a little bit better, and I'm tempted to be intrigued by that. But in this Henriquez save on Sunday, Fauché pitched the 6th. I mean, it's just all over the place. So I'm gonna go, if I'm gonna throw any dart in the Marlins bullpen, it's Ronnie Henriquez. He's got a really interesting pitch mix where he's got 4. He's kind of got a starter's pitch mix.
Yeah, he was a starter up until this year.
I think, he probably would never have. I mean, he's 5'10", 155. They list him at. He might even be smaller than that.
That is
so
tiny.
Just a little guy,
that's
but
like me.
he's just this little skinny dude, but he throws, mid 90s, and his sweeper is really the big bread and butter pitch for him. 48% whiff rate on that sweeper right now. And yeah, if you look at, we look at his pitch mix from last year, and very small sample size last year, but he was changeup slider heavy. And then this year he's really leaning into that sweeper. And it's been awesome for him. So yeah, big Ronnie Henriquez fan. And even though he throws he kind of sits around 96, which is fine. That's good. I'll take it for a closer for sure. Especially with, I believe it has really good metrics on it. He's got good IVB on it too. So I would love to see Ronnie Henriquez just be the closer in Miami. I would, he'd be, again, he's up there with like the Robert Garcia, Palencia, Will Vest kind of. Are they closers forever, for a long time, for a short time? What's the how long are they going to be, in a closer role for? So I don't know. If you're in a NL only, obviously Henriquez is worth rostering. If you're in 15-team roto, I think he's worth rostering too, just to see how things play out. Maybe eventually the Marlins just decide to give their relievers some sort of set roles, but as of now, it's going to be hit or miss as far as the relievers go. So, but Henriquez is the more talented of the group.
Yeah, by far. I mean, everybody, the highest strikeout rate we see in that bullpen outside of Henriquez is 22.6% from Fauché, and even that is 3% higher than the next guy. Right. And then you've got Ronnie Henriquez, who's at 31.9%, just clearly far and away better strikeout pitcher. And it's not like he's not been playing well either. 2.30 ERA, 1 save, 6 holds for Ronnie Henriquez. Like you said, stuff is dope. Maybe not as dope as it was when I played with him on MLB The Show last year, but dope enough to be the Marlins closer. He's the best option they got there. I agree. I'd love for him to be the closer in Miami. And as those guys rise up the closer ranks, others have to fall to accommodate them. So let's talk about our fallers and start off with Tanner Scott, who has been used very weirdly across the past week. The Dodgers keep throwing him in like the 8th inning, the 7th inning. I think last night they threw him in the 7th inning. He got the final out, and then he came into the 8th inning and gave up 4 runs, which, oh, God, that sucks. Dodgers losing the game. Man, I don't know how I'm going to recover from that one. But Tanner Scott, not a great week. And now his ERA is at 4.62, while his strikeout rate is down to 28%. And this is a guy who's usually one of the best strikeout pitchers in baseball with, sub-3, sub-2 ERAs. And pitching for the Dodgers, you expect him to be at his peak. And that is not what we've seen, especially across the past week.
Yeah, I mean, he's allowed 9 earned runs over his past 5 outings. And it's not all on him. There was a lot of bad luck. Like, I looked at that game yesterday. It was like an 80-mile-per-hour. It was like a bunch. There was 3 hits he allowed, and they were all had like expected batting average under like 200. So they were just kind of weak ground balls that found holes in the infield. So I'm not, yesterday not too concerned. He's still, the strikeouts are still there. This month he's got 14 Ks over 10.1 innings. Even like his whip for the season still fine. It did explode the other day, but I'm not too concerned with him. I just think we needed to mention him as someone who is 9 earned runs in the past 5 outings. So yeah, and you got to wonder like what was the plan with him coming in early. I guess Alex Vesia might be seeing some save chances, and he's probably deserved it. I mean, he's been very consistent for them over the past year or so. He's been really good this season, and just
it's not like they got anybody else.
It's unless you go to Ben Kasparius, who
that'd be dope, but
it's not like I would be surprised because he's been really good too. But they'll. I don't know. I feel like Scott should be fine. I don't think Alexis Diaz is taking over that role anytime soon, or anyone else. I mean, Evan Phillips was moved to the 60-day IL, so he's going to be back not until July. Trinan's still a ways away. Kirby Yates might be a ways away. So this is still Scott's job as the closer, but maybe he gets moved down next week just because usage patterns, like him coming in the 7th and 8th. And the struggles are definitely something to keep an eye at.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like 50% home run to fly ball rate is in the 3rd percentile of baseball. So I mean, that'll do it. He's not walking anybody this year. 2.2% walk rate. So that's a little concerning too, where he's relying so much on letting batters beat him. Where he's just like, I'm going to throw everything I got in the zone, and you're going to have to try to hit it. Batters are hitting it, and they're hitting it over the fence. So we'll have to wait and see to see if that's something that carries. Yeah. Maybe throw a few more out of the zone. But yeah, I think I'm okay with Tanner Scott, especially knowing that the Dodgers are there to support him. Like their staff is going to get him back on track. Our next faller is Mason Miller, who I did get to see record a save in Sacramento over the weekend. But prior to that, Mason Miller had blown a save, and not looking great this year after looking awesome to start the year. He's now got a 5.79 ERA. How did that happen so fast?
Yeah, it's kind of snuck up. I mean, he's doing something similar to what happened last year, where it's just happening sooner. Someone asked about this in the chat and Discord, and I looked into it a little bit, and it seems like his slider. He's never really thrown his slider for strikes like very well. I mean, it's 34% zone rate right now, and I do feel like he's getting less chase on, or hitters are laying off the slider a little bit more, teeing off his fastball. The slider's still a good pitch, but the fastball is starting to get starting to be as hard as he throws. Like, I feel like he's starting to get hit around pretty hard. So I don't know if he needs to bring the splinker back, or the splitter back, or the changeup back as a third offering, or just has to maybe get his slider thrown, maybe get some more called strikes on his slider. But the fastball has definitely been getting some damage against it this year, which is a little concerning. Yeah,
and that was sort of something I talked about. I mean, in Lindy's magazine, where I was like, there's so much to like about Mason Miller, but really, if you think of him as like, from like a pitcherless perspective, and you talk about just his pitches and how they perform and how he uses them, where he throws them, and the movement profiles and stuff. His fastball is incredible, but like, if you don't have anything to support that, or the stuff that you have to support that is mediocre, guys can handle 100 miles per hour. It's not like 20 years ago where people see 100 miles per hour and they call the police. It's a situation where guys can handle it now. And the thing with his four-seamer is it's really good. It's got high spin, but it's not like beautifully shaped or anything. It's 66th percentile PLV, which into his control as well. But the IVB's at 16 inches, which is, you know, slightly above average. It doesn't have a ton of a horizontal break. He's got decent extension at 6.8 feet, but that's 78th percentile. Outside of that, it's just velocity. So I wouldn't call it an empty fastball, but amongst 100-mile-per-hour fastballs, it's middle of the road. So if he doesn't have anything to support it, or what he has to support it is just not great, then, you know, players are going to be like, hey, I can hit that fastball. I'm going to wait for that fastball and then just lock in. And if you ever see a slider, just don't swing or you're cooked. But the fastball is certainly more hittable than the velocity would suggest.
Yeah. And it's more, the velocity is obviously great. 101, we'll take that. But yeah, it's more of an above average fastball than an elite fastball. And like at 52.4% ICR on it, it's, you know, it's getting hit around pretty well right now. So I'm not sure what he does to combat that or what the answer is, but I think it starts with just being able to locate the slider for strikes. And even the fastball zone his zone rate's down on his fastball. It's 45% this year. Not even 50% from, if you don't have a fastball over 50%, that's already kind of sketchy, I feel like, for someone who can't locate their slider either. So yeah, there's some concerns here with Mason Miller. I don't know. I think he's obviously talented enough to overcome it. I mean, he's still first in swinging strike rate, fifth in CSW, 44.4% K rate still, but the command needs to be better. And yeah, that's really where it starts. It's just getting the command better, and not just, you know, bringing the walk rate down, but also locating, you know, the slider better and the fastball better.
All right, that's Mason Miller. And our last faller is Emilio Pagan, who hasn't been particularly terrible recently, but, you know, not the Emilio Pagan we saw in April, who was really dominant. But honestly, this is exactly what I expected, is as things warm up, the home run prone pitcher pitching in Great American Ballpark is going to start giving up home runs. And that's what we're starting to see. Pagan's ERA is getting dangerously close to 4 at 3.96. He's still got 13 saves for the Reds. I don't think he's got, I don't think his role is at risk. No. I mean, especially with Alexis Diaz gone, now he's safe. But yeah, well, what are you seeing with Emilio Pagan that has you moving him down, or at least considering him a faller?
Luis May got option too. So, I mean, Graham Ashcraft's the only man standing there. But yeah, so if you look at, I mean, Pagan's like savant profile is pretty funny, because it's very telling of what our concerns are. And it's like everything's red except for barrel percentage, hard hit rate, and ground ball percentage, and average exit velocity. Those are blue, because that's the concern. That's always been the concern with Pagan, is the home runs and the hard hit rate, and the fact that he allows so many fly balls. He would be an awesome closer in, I don't know, what's the biggest park in baseball? I don't, like, and
course,
give me they
do have the biggest outfield.
Seattle.
That's a good one,
because no one can hit there. But yeah, it's a concern. Just I'm not ready to panic, and he didn't move down at all, but just he did allow another home run this past week. It's something to keep in mind. As long as he's not walking people, and like, it's when you walk someone then let up the home run, and all of a sudden, you know, I don't think he's really been burned by the home run yet. So he's keeping it. They're mostly solo shots. I think he's allowed 5 or 6 home runs so far. So
yeah, because he's got a 185 BABIP, so there's never anybody on base.
Yeah. So yeah, been a little lucky there. But he's, the 3-pitch mix I still like. I mean, I still like his pitch mix, and he's able to get swings and misses at a high rate. So I think he can be fine despite the home run issues. We've seen Josh Hader's had huge home run issues in the past too, and he's been dominant still. So a little concerned with Pagan about the home runs over the summer, but for now, there's no competition there. So I'm not ready to drop him or move him down too much. He's still pretty solid.
All right. Well, that's Emilio Pagan, and that will wrap up our 3 up, 3 down section. To recap, our closers rising up Rick's weekly closer ranks were Daniel Palencia, Robert Garcia, and Ronny Henriquez. And our fallers were Tanner Scott, Mason Miller, and Emilio Pagan. Next, we would usually head into our main topic, but unfortunately, we've run out of time. Somehow spent an hour and almost 10 minutes discussing some very important stuff, honestly. So you know what that means, though, is we've got a great show for you next time. We've got this. It's like I'm trying to think of a good. It's like you're marinating meat, and this time the meat though you're allowed to marinate it for a week. So we started to marinate today, and in a week from now, that meat's going to be all marinated and it's going to be great. Or what's another example of this? Like making pickles or something? I don't know. What kind of wine? I don't know. What kind of stuff
is aging like a wine, maybe.
Yeah. Next week we'll have that week old. I don't know. I don't drink Zinfandel.
Chardonnay. Zinfandel. Yeah, I don't know. I love it.
All right. Well, that'll do it for episode 122 of In the Pen. Rick, why don't you go ahead and plug your social media and anything else you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me on socials at I am Rick Graham. As always, we have closing time coming out on Tuesdays, hold up on Thursdays, and saves plus holds on Fridays. That currently have the bullpen chart from last year, but I will tease something that I just was kind of working on before this. We may have a new and improved bullpen chart in the works that will be kind of game changing. But it's still in the very early stages. But something hopefully we can get out sooner rather than later.
All right, I'm excited to see that. Okay. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. You can follow the pod at In the Pen Pod. You can find all of my work at crumplerbaseball.com. You can catch me live on the First Pitch podcast Sunday through Wednesday nights and recorded Monday through Thursday. And then obviously on In the Pen every Thursday night, recorded on or published on Friday. And you can find more of my work over at Baseball HQ. But that'll do it for this episode 122 of In the Pen. We'll talk to you all next week.